your feelings hurt. Read this.
Well, hello there.
Hey.
Welcome to Payman's Void and another episode of Karmanline Short Review.
Karmanline Short Review.
Karmanline Short.
That's the one. The only place in the universe where you can watch two cursed filmmakers and one, whatever you are, review your short films.
Awesome. Today we have a film by Zach Halfter.
Halfter, definitely. Directed and story by.
Yes.
He got a screenwriter, though.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a
different
story
writer.
by Zach, but written by Stephen Pavliks.
Interesting.
Submitted to us by Timothy J. Cooks.
Yes,
The
submitted to us
ever-prolific.
by Tim. And this movie is called Solutions. So if you haven't seen it yet, link in the description.
Check it out.
We're about to talk about it.
We're going to spoil everything. Watch it. It's 20 minutes long, so get some popcorn.
Get some popcorn.
Some water. Go pee-pee.
All right, so let's do this. First impressions. We'll start out with Kenny's first impressions.
Okay.
What was your first impressions?
I didn't really care for this movie.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. Big oof.
I know. And I was like, I don't like this movie very much, and I bet my buddies in here feel the same way. And then it ended, and you guys were like, oh, that was not bad. And I was like, oh. Oh.
It's going to be like that.
I'd give it a,
Fine.
a 61% Rotten Tomatoes
That's
score.
how it's going to be, huh?
Hey, some of my favorite movies are 61% Rotten Tomatoes.
No doubt.
My favorite
no
movie
doubt.
is 64% Rotten Tomatoes.
Is that so?
Yeah.
I'm not going to give this movie a tomato rating.
Okay, good.
What
What about a pizza rating?
Nope, not doing that either. Because you can't have pizza without tomatoes.
Wow.
But back to my impressions of this movie. The sound really messed me up. The mixing between sort of this noir black and white and a standard non-noir film, just because.
Just because, yeah.
I didn't think it was very effective. And the writing was very flat and unengaging. So I didn't like this movie.
Color me impressed. Just color this right here.
Can I use pink?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Is that impressed?
It's dry erase.
Shoot. Okay, so I was impressed because it felt. So I don't want to feel like I'm making fun of any filmmaker here, but it felt.
We do that sometimes.
It felt kind of amateur. I'm not sure why. It could be because of the cinematography, come the lighting stuff, but I was impressed because even though, in spite of that stuff, they made a 20-minute story, one that was like cohesive and made sense.
Yeah, there's a plot.
There's an actual plot.
That's all true. I don't disagree.
We've had too many short films submitted to us that just make no sense.
And are often still 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or ones that just have one idea and then they just play off of it too long.
Yeah.
Or they don't get there. This one made the whole 20 minutes actually matter.
It had an arc. It had a story.
Yeah.
It went someplace. And it had a lot of moving parts that they pulled together and pulled off a pretty complex production. So kudos.
So that being said, there were still problems here. I didn't really enjoy the writing. I didn't enjoy the acting. I didn't really enjoy much of the sound either. But it was still interesting to see how all those things fit together.
Yeah, I pretty much feel the same way as you, D. I'm definitely not going to say that, like, I know where you're coming from too, Kenny, but I was impressed by how cohesive the story was, even though there were some writing holes in there, especially towards the end, and some questions that could be answered, and which we'll get into later. But I was fairly engaged through the whole thing. I didn't feel its runtime very much, and I felt a genuine sense of like tension when the son was like in the bathroom, like hiding and stuff like that. And so I was like surprised by that. I think the biggest thing for me was definitely some writing moments that were questionable in terms of like, I don't know, just pulling it off. Some of it just didn't quite work, some line delivery, and also the cinematography did make it the cinematography and lighting, I think, did bring it down a notch. It made it feel more amateur than, the movie could have been, I think.
Right.
So I did not feel tension, and I never felt engaged. And I'm very curious to figure out what the difference is.
Yeah.
Between our experiences. For me, instead of being like, oh, is he going to get caught in a bathroom? It was more like, I hope he gets caught because that might make this interesting.
Yeah.
To be fair, when you make your movie, you can't control who sees it.
Yeah.
Can't control the conditions under which they see it.
Yeah.
I happened to watch this at the tail end of a caffeine high, on the crash side. After the high, you got the crash.
So you coming down with the hammer.
And I'm probably going to be a little ruthless, and I'm sorry, but
and also, if I may throw out something a little radical,
I'll let you do that.
we can get in depth and figure out why we do feel set differently on this, but we could have different opinions.
Who?
Us.
Like me and you?
Me and you.
Different opinions?
Yeah, it could happen.
No, see, you and I are supposed to have the same opinion. It's this guy
He's
over
the one
here
odd one
that's
out.
usually the weirdo, right? Right?
Yes.
Did you just T-pose me?
I did.
Oh, this is getting
This is
hostile
getting
now.
bad.
Oh, man.
Wow.
So,
should we go
let's-
into our
yeah,
topics?
let's get right into it.
Jump into
Yeah.
topics, D.
what's
Sure.
up first?
All right, let us start off with writing. Writing in here. So, yeah, go ahead.
I think there's always two things that you really are trying to pull off as a writer. One is to tell a cohesive story, right, with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and an arc where a character goes someplace and
Sure.
evolves and changes. It gives us a reason to watch the movie, and I think they did that part
Yeah,
very well.
they did, yeah.
The other half of writing, often the more difficult half, I believe, is writing believable dialogue. Dialogue that doesn't say too much, leave some room for some subtlety.
Yeah,
Dialogue that respects the actor's ability to communicate.
sure.
Right? And dialogue that makes you feel like this is something actual people say to each other.
Which, by the way,
Wow.
it's void, man.
What time is it? You gotta get some sleep. Man.
Which, by the way,
It's almost
is
lunchtime. He's like falling over.
which, by the
Jeez.
way, we recognize is very, very hard to do.
It's extremely hard.
Yeah.
We've had long conversations about what are the ways we can get to better dialogue. It's not easy. It's not natural.
Right. It
Yeah.
is easy to pick apart, though. It's easy to
Yeah,
say that's
it's easy to
that's
spot
wrong.
it.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
easy to spot it.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of that here. Not just necessarily unnatural dialogue, but also a lot that was like super tropey, predictable. This conversation between the wealthy politician and the sort of
shadowy
like I've
guy.
seen it all
Yeah.
hitman.
Yeah.
It was like I've seen every line 100 times.
Kind of, yeah,
you
pretty
know?
much. It was kind of line by line.
Right, which is why I give half of the writing a golden star and half of the writing a stinky thumb down.
I want to see one of these lines. I forgot exactly what Tim says here.
I was told I can rely on you for your professionalism and discretion. I have a problem. I was told you could help me.
So there. I was told about your discretion. I was told you could help me.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's a line that's written that no one would actually say.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Tim's performance at that part feels forced right there. And I'm not sure if I'm actually reading that correctly, but it maybe because it doesn't feel like it could flow at any point.
And that's why we're not talking about acting. We decided not to make that one of our categories for this conversation.
Right.
Is because when there's writing problems, it's really hard to tell where a poor acting performance begins and the subpar writing ends.
Right.
There really is some bleed through there. You can't act your way out of a bad line.
Right.
Sure.
Right. And like, yeah, as we've said before, we acknowledge that it is extremely hard to get good dialogue because you're trying to say your story, obviously.
I think it's the hardest
Yeah.
thing, actually.
Well, yeah.
Because when people talk, you're not really thinking too hard about what you're saying and what words you're choosing. It's just a natural thing.
Right.
But
Well,
when
and-
you're writing,
yeah.
you're sitting down and you're thinking of every single word very deliberately.
You start getting in your own way.
Yeah.
Also, when people talk in real life, unless you're meeting someone for the first time and you have zero shared context,
Yes.
you typically have a ton of information in your brains that you don't have to say.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah,
in a
exactly.
movie, you have to say things
Right.
so that the audience understands what's going on.
Right. And then you have to say, okay, well,
Right.
can I make it feel natural?
Right. So like people who are who are best friends that have lived together for 20 years, over breakfast, they don't take turns using each other's first names.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you say sis or bro. You don't say those
Yeah,
things.
it's like, we pass me the jam, Devon.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
we're not going to do that if we've been married for 20 years.
Right, which we have. So
Which we have. And it's been a glorious 20 years,
Great.
I must say. We could write
How
a
old are
book.
you, D?
not that old.
It was a arranged marriage.
I got
It
married
was an
when
arranged gay marriage.
I was
Oh
10.
my gosh.
Yeah.
So I was 10 and you were
16.
16.
Yeah. Yeah. I was old enough to drive us to the chapel.
Oh my God. Great.
we,
Hey, you know what? To each his own.
right? Nothing
To each
wrong
his
with
own.
that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
You do you.
That's right. Have a Diet Coke. Where on earth were we when we got into
dialogue,
Dialogue, yeah.
that? Yeah.
context,
Right.
relationships.
Right. So it's the challenge is getting across the information you got to get across while still sounding like people who have shared context.
Right. And in this film, that's not done particularly well.
No, and there's a lot of like, they're mixing in this noir concept,
Like from the future.
and in noir, it's like it's almost you almost speak in like poetry.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
noir,
Which
right?
they took to the heart here.
Yeah.
They actually did that.
Yeah, and so you tend to be a lot more on the nose when you're doing that noir style narration kind of
Which
thing.
which felt fine, honestly. The narration actually is the only part that felt natural in this part.
yeah,
because
it was noir though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
And when they're in the car here, we have this bit where the dad says, you're just going to go and break into this home and plant a device in the shower. What could be harder than that?
Yeah.
Or what could be easier? And he says, I don't know, brain surgery.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it felt very much
Yeah.
like I'm going to set you up for a punchline, and here's your scripted punchline.
Yeah, it didn't quite work. Can we talk about the ending kind of a thing? Which
Yeah.
was a weird thing. The end when the twist is revealed that
All right.
we're planting a device to kill Timothy J. Cox.
James Cross.
I mean James Cross.
Yes.
Instead of helping him win the election for whatever reason, seemed out of nowhere, and I didn't understand why that decision was made. Not in a writing sense, but why the character made the decision to do that. I never understood why that
He
happened.
says because it wasn't enough money.
I don't know what that means.
Why wouldn't you just ask for more money?
Yeah.
Wait,
Like this
or-
just seems like bad
What
business.
wasn't enough
Yeah.
money?
Oh, at the end, the dad says that the reason Cross is dead is because everyone has a price, and his price, the price he offered, wasn't enough.
But here's
That's
the
what he
thing.
said.
But this is the thing with that, right?
Right.
Is Cross offered a price. He says no. How about add a 0 onto the end, and now I'll do it.
Yeah, he named the price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why not do the job and get the $22.5 million?
So what I got from it was that he was offered an insulting price to him,
Yeah.
$250,000, and he
So he decided right then, I'm going to kill you.
no, I'm thinking then, well, maybe he says, okay, how about I raise the price incredibly, right? Get half of that, and then I'll kill him, right? And that'll be like, then I got my money. And if that is the plot, that is like an absurdly dark
Crazy dark.
plot. Yeah.
But hold on, I have a problem with that too.
Yeah.
Where if that's the case, then I wonder why, because you're turning down more money because you're not going to get the second half of the money
Right.
after you finish the job. And I imagine if he's coming to hire you to do this job, that unless he decided
Yeah.
at the beginning that I am not able to do this, I'm going to scam this guy and pretend that I can't
Yeah,
do this,
but
why wouldn't you just finish the job? It'd be
This
easier
guy
and
is
you
like
get more
world
money.
renowned and has this reputation for being a dependable
Something.
dude
Yeah.
for
doing this stuff.
doing covert, black
Things.
ops. You don't get that reputation by double crossing people.
Yeah.
Just because.
Yeah.
Well, and the double cross with killing the guy who paid him feels. Oh, that's funny. I would just notice he's using a pink phone.
Is that funny?
I think it's funny because it's a soft color for someone who's such hardcore.
I
Anyway,
think that's rose gold.
Ooh.
big oof. If what was I saying? If he kills the guy, it feels absurdly dark.
Yep. So we can go talk about the dark stuff.
Yeah, I guess it felt really weird because this whole thing was a lighthearted conversation, right? This whole thing was like a kid who's going with his dad to see him do some weird undercover stuff that's not exactly legal. But it turns out the kid was actually setting up for the murder of this dude, which is insanely dark.
Yeah.
And it feels like you said, Taylor, during the movie, you said it feels like they were going for like an Ocean's 11 kind of feel here.
Mm-hmm.
And it does feel that way. It feels like, okay, we were doing all this, but psych, it's actually this. In a more fun way, and that is fun. But yeah, when it has to do with the father put his son into this kind of line of fire almost, right?
Yeah.
Like I felt like the son during that part where he was hiding in the bathroom, I felt like what was going to happen was like the son was going to get heavily injured or something, or was going to get shot by the daughter or something.
Get a Brad Pitt from Burn After Reading
Right.
moment.
Exactly. Yeah. See, and something like that, I think would have added an incredible amount of personality to the film.
Yeah.
Because right now it feels like we have such dark material,
Yeah.
but just kind of played it off as.
Yeah, and the dad is so flippant about everything. It's like he doesn't care. He's not worried about
Right.
anything.
Right.
So it felt like he should have like a consequence for being that way.
For
Yeah.
being that way, yeah.
Yeah, like that.
yeah.
Like that's what maybe they were setting up.
Yeah.
but
I
they
did feel like
weren't.
that,
You
yeah.
know.
But they weren't. Yeah.
It is weird that it is a dark thought to think of, like a father telling his son to go do something, and that something is killing somebody unknown to the son who's
Yeah.
doing it. He's
Yeah.
killing somebody unknown.
Yeah.
Right.
Like making your son kill
Like-
somebody against his will without
Right.
realizing
Like
it.
you can make a drama out of that.
Well,
Yeah.
that could be another like really interesting story.
Yeah.
Would be
Yeah.
like, what if he literally had his son do it, so he could have an out.
Yeah.
If he gets caught, he
Right.
can frame his son.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like that's like truly dark material that is right at the forefront, like because we understand what's happening, and we're just kind of joking around with it.
Yeah.
It
Like it's
feels-
supposed to be like, wow, that's a crazy twist.
Right, right.
But it's like super heavy.
Yeah. It's kind of weird because it doesn't have the dark comedy feel to it.
I was left very intrigued at how this shower apparatus was going to work and kill him.
Oh, yeah.
And so when we got that high pitched whine at the end,
That was,
and then just sort of a sound, and I was like, "What happened? Like, did that thing come shooting out of the shower and just brain him?
I imagine it was the whole shower head.
The
came off.
shower head just concussed him, cracked
Yeah.
his skull."
I imagine. I thought we were going to see some of that.
I was too. I was
Yeah.
kind of like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah.
Oh, cut to black.
Yeah.
Shame.
It's a shame.
Hard to think how that would happen. Sounds like there's a lot left to chance with
I
that
would have
kind of
loved to
thing.
have just seen Timothy J. Cox with a shower head embedded into his skull on the floor.
That would have been even darker.
Yeah. But that's a pretty complex injury to just expect to work, right?
Right.
It's like, I don't
That
know.
is. Yeah.
He
there's
put
some-
something the size of like a grain of rice into the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's gonna do something.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Maybe it's better they didn't show it.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. That leads into our next topic, which is directing.
One of the ways we like to describe good direction is that it's clear that a vision, a preconceived vision, has been pulled off.
Yeah.
And in that sense, I feel like, there's an accomplishment here.
Yeah. I mean, the story was at least pulled off.
Yeah.
And there is a tone that's consistent through the whole thing.
So the other way I try to look for the hand of a good director is that you see things in the film that could not have happened by accident. It's not improvised. This was led.
Yeah.
It was planned. It was directed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I didn't pick up on so much.
I didn't
Yeah.
feel a lot of that. Yeah.
Didn't
That's a
have to
very
agree.
good definition, by the way.
Yeah. That is a great definition.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Came up with that myself.
Yeah.
Gonna put that in a book.
Congratulations.
Put that. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, gonna put it in a book. Gonna sell it to film schools.
Wow.
Wow,
Make lots
that's
of money.
impressive. Wow.
That's impressive.
It's my. It's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, there was nothing in here that felt like it could have been, that it couldn't have been on accident.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything here felt like it could have been on accident.
Yeah.
The only shot, I think, actually, that... Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
The only shot that I felt like was super directed was this part.
Yes, and there was definite blocking
Yeah.
in the bathroom scene.
With the bathroom scene. Yeah.
You
with-
had
That's
to,
my favorite
to
shot of
make
the
it
whole
work.
movie.
It is mine, too.
Is he actually holding something in his hand?
Well, dude just looked at the camera.
You know what? Yeah.
Dude just looked at the camera. Look at that.
Is it?
He's looking straight at the camera.
I guess so.
Watch. Because then he goes, oh, come on. No, I'm going to watch.
It's a good butt shot. That was I
was the camera.
did see it. He
Oh,
did.
yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And then he goes, no, just kidding.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this scene of the moving around in the bathroom and hiding was probably the most overtly directed.
And
Right.
it's the best scene in the movie.
Yeah,
It
I
is.
would agree.
It is the best
Yeah.
scene. I really like this part too, where
Yeah.
they literally say get down, right?
Yeah,
Maybe. Actually, I'm not sure. I was convinced though. Anyway, yeah, really well directed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anything else about directing?
I don't think so.
I think we covered a lot in writing. A lot of what we had to say was in writing this
Yeah.
episode.
Should we go on to our more technical thing?
Huh?
Technical?
Sound?
Editing. This is editing. So in some of the editing choices in here, most of the editing choices in here were really odd to me. We talk about editing as allowing space for reading the character's face or reading what their lines are given, and it felt like very much say your line, cut, say your line, cut, say your line, cut. None of this, we don't have a lot of J cuts, not a lot of L cuts, not a lot of holding on a reaction. There's, again, not a lot of direction. The editing feels very efficient.
Yeah.
Inefficient, not really in a good way. Like, just kind of, I have to show what I have to show, and that's it. Some of the shots here were way too short to get the full effect of what we're trying to show. Okay, for example, there, where we cut to a two-shot. You're cutting to a two-shot to relieve some of the pressure off of being so intense all the time. So we go intense shot, and then two-shot, and then right back in it.
Mm-hmm. That was way too short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we cut to a more relaxed shot, which is kind of weird, now that and I feel like a lot of this was, I feel like a lot of it was playing the cards that they were dealt. Kind of thing.
No, that's how it often is. Like, well, okay, let's shoot a take with this wider shot.
Right.
Then we'll shoot the take with the close-up. And then we're going to edit together the bits and
The best
pieces
stuff.
that are the best.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and it wasn't. It
which
wasn't
isn't the way to edit.
Right.
By the way.
It wasn't an artistic decision.
Yeah.
It was this is a better.
Practical.
This is a practical decision. Exactly. Is there anything you had to say about editing specifically?
No, you pretty much nailed it. Nothing really stuck out to me too much.
You want to talk about sound?
Yeah. So I really had a hard time with the sound. While I could understand everything everyone said,
Yeah.
I felt like the ambience was more important than what they were saying.
Interesting. Yeah.
It wasn't mixed well enough, or the levels were recorded just too low.
Right.
Because the background sound was almost at the exact same level as the dialogue.
Yeah, I felt that too.
And sometimes the music was louder than the dialogue.
When
Yeah,
music came
and
in,
that was
it
a
was
problem.
pretty abrasive
Yeah.
as well. So I don't know if they had a mic issue, recorded too lower than they should have, or if it's just mixed weird. But
Right. It could have just been compressor.
I feel like that dialogue needs to pop a bit more.
You're talking about layering.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I have an extremely hard time understanding movies if I can't hear what the people are saying, and a lot of times if it's too tinny, like on the high side of the of our hertz scale, it's hard for me to just understand what they're saying. I can't just really hear it much. And I heard everything in this film, which was awesome. But I can totally relate with what you're talking about, where it's like the ambience and the voice are here the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's just like one of them needs to come down. And some of the mixing with like just the sound effects, like there was a part in the bathroom scene where the girl had come up. This part, also that shot was weird. Why is she moving so slow?
It felt like it cut to slow motion.
It did.
Yeah, but there's not enough movement to
Right.
make it obvious that it's slow motion. It
Like,
feels.
I know they're trying to build tension, but it feels like she's just walking really, really slow.
Yeah.
She's having a stroke.
And then so this part, they have a sound effect that goes like they're trying to build up the tension, and it goes over the music, and it feels really weird.
Yeah.
Until it cuts off right here. And then it goes back to the music, which is again too loud.
Made it feel like a horror movie for a second.
It did, yeah. And then at the very end, when we have the pressure building,
Oh, that
That
was
was
almost
insane.
grating.
that was hard, yeah.
Yeah, I really felt that deep in my ears.
Yeah.
Very piercing.
And it may have been just because we had low quality speakers, but also it's just loud.
Yeah.
So that's just a odd choice. I really wanted to turn off the sound at that point.
Yeah.
So
It sounded like it was a weird experience with that sound because the whole movie I could tell it's coming from the TV. All the sounds are coming from the TV. But as soon as this sound came, however our setup is, it made it sound like the high pressure thing was like here. Like I felt it right here. For whatever reason, something about those frequencies like made it separate from the other ones, and that was a very bizarre sensation. Okay. Anything else?
Questions.
Right.
Question time?
Viewers, you guys can ask questions to the filmmaker as we're about to do. You can leave your questions in the comments. The filmmaker usually chimes in and says, "Hey, you guys got all this wrong, and you're stupid." So do your thing. And,
Which is totally cool.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna go ahead and talk to the filmmaker now. What's his name?
Matt.
Zach.
This is like the fifth short film review.
We're making him feel very special right now. So
He's
what's
not.
fucking, what's
That's
your
whose
name?
name. So Zach.
Yeah.
Zach. Hey, Zach. Please answer our questions in the comments below. It really completes the full circle of this whole process, and is always awesome when, like Dee said, you chime in, let us know if we're being idiots or fill in the gaps that we're missing. Makes it a lot more fun for us. We look forward to seeing your answers.
Yeah, love the context. So question for you from me is, why did you make this film? It's usually a question that we ask almost every episode, but the reason why we ask it is because it answers some of our contextual questions. And this one I'm thinking about is, I can't see this film being made for a certain film festival because it feels very genuine to me. It feels like this is a script that came from your backlog or something. So is this just purely a passion piece, or did you make it for like a certain reason other than that?
What is your genre of film? What kind of movies do you want to make? What kind of movies have you made in the past? And is this one of your first bigger projects?
And I'd love to hear about the production process. This it's a 20-minute piece with several locations, and I could easily see it taking a long time. Or I could see it crammed into 2 really crazy days. So either way, I'd love to hear how long did the production take? What were some of the challenges you had to overcome to get this movie to the finish line? I've always loved how we did it stories.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
That being said, thank you so much for sending your film. Oh, you didn't send it.
Tim did.
Thank you so much for giving Tim permission to send your film.
Hopefully you did.
If
Said
you
he did
didn't-
on the form.
Yeah, it says on the form. So please send us more if you have more.
Yeah, you
Yeah, we'd
definitely
love to
got
see
some
more.
chops. I'd love to see more from you.
Yeah. Cool.
I suppose that does it.
That just
Suppose
about
that
does it.
It always does it.
The episode, it's that time again. It's that time where we all say goodbye and
Leave, go our separate ways.
The end of another episode of the show. D?
What are you doing back there?
Am I out of focus?